This one is called Falling for a Dead Woman. One of my biggest worries, I guess, is that there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to show you guys about now, but I didn't want y'all falling in love with a dead girl. I eventually showed that stuff anyway. Me and Natalie were good friends. I mean, for years and years, I didn't even know her name, and I was the reason she didn't kill herself. Thinking of me was the reason that she didn't kill herself, and I didn't even know her fucking name at the time. I don't even know how a person makes that kind of an impact. So there's this guy, Edwin. There's a few people that, well, there was one guy, he got on and he wanted to hit on me. Y'all ladies, I don't understand all of it, but I know how dudes treat me when they think I'm Natalie. They hit on me. I let them know that I'm a dude, and then they treat me like shit for false advertising and stuff like that. And I explain to them, hey, dude, this is a friend of mine who is dead. This is a memorial to her. This is somebody that I cared about very much. I didn't put this picture up to get trolled. I didn't put this picture up to take your dick up my ass. And a lot of them, they get fucking mean and hateful, like I did something evil. Like I was trolling for some penis with that picture and should have told them I'm gay, except I'm not gay. It's not like they got a hold of me to hit on me and I pretended like I was Natalie. It's not like they got on to tell me, hey, baby, you so fine. And I was like, well, thank you, hon. Where are you living at? Well, this dude, Chedwin, he's a little bit different. He he thought I was Natalie, and I'm not leading him on. I'm not telling him that I'm going to have sex with him or anything like that. He's not being a dick. And for the most part, I can just ignore him, which is what your guys' bullshit is. You know, between ignoring the dude and telling him off works a lot fucking better. Now, it'd be nice if I didn't have to tell him off. It'd be nice if just talking to him and explaining the situation was good. You know, that's when it's best. A lot of women absolutely refuse to do that. Refuse to talk to you like a human being. It's a lot easier just to run around, slander your name, and let everybody else take care of it. So Edwin this morning, he types at me. Um, he types to me this morning, hi friend, how are you doing today? I typed, I'm not dead, thank you for asking. Now my post is, or my Facebook is actually rather doodly. If you were to look at my Facebook, you would probably not confuse me for a woman. Of course, there's not a whole bunch of half naked pictures of women. There's absolutely nothing about football except that I don't like football. You know, I guess, yeah, I actually have more of a, well, I can't say I have a womanly Facebook either because I don't have mine popped up with 4,000 selfies. You know, I don't have a lot of the stuff that women have on their profiles. I'm not talking about how lonely I am or how much I need penis, and I'm not interspersing the needing penis stuff with how much I love God. So it's not exactly a woman's. I mean, basically, it's a whatever. I could be an either or. So I don't really have the ability to I can't say honestly what I had originally felt as if I should be saying, which is that you wouldn't confuse me for a woman. But upon further review, I suppose you probably could. Anyway, after a few months of it, not replying back to him because he called me, a couple 3 months ago or something. He types to me today, "Hi friend, how are you doing today?" I typed, "I'm not dead. Thank you for asking." He typed, "Great. Want to break bread with me? Hit me up. Let's talk when you see fit, okay?" I typed, "Only if you can recite the poetic benediction. I'll be nice and let you do it in English instead of Latin. You have 2 minutes. Begin." Obviously, that's not something serious. Obviously, that's just me being playful, which that's really who I am in real life. That's why most of these people love me in real life, but they can't stand me on the internet. It'd be nice if you were here in real life, asshole. Keep me company. I'll stay off the internet. Be decent company, rather. If you think that being in the room but typing on your phone is being company, yeah, I don't expect you to provide me with entertainment. I can provide myself with entertainment at your expense. That's a joke. See, if you're gonna drive all the way from, let's say you drive all the way from Boulder, Colorado to come see me, and that's not far. It's really not. I mean, you're talking to a dude who's literally walked over 1,000 miles just to see someone. So yeah, driving up here from Boulder ain't a major thing. But if they're gonna drive up here, I mean, look at all that you're doing. There's all the time that you had to spend to earn the money for gas, and that money, if you come up to me and you spend that money on gas, come up and see me, to sit in that chair, you've also spent the time that you drove here. And as people like to say here in America, time is money. And then when you get here, you're on your phone the whole time looking at it. And then you gotta get back in your vehicle and spend the time to go back. And then you also have to spend the money that you spent time of your life to get. And you basically spent all that time to show up and ignore me, or be ignored by me, I guess, depending on how you look at it. Anyway, he typed, "Nah, I ain't doing that, Sean. Not orthodox. When I say break bread, I mean make some money. Together, not recite some religious poem." I also should add that Sean is a multi-gender name. And a lot of y'all might argue that and say, no, Sean is the male name and Shauna is the girl's name. Y'all ever heard of Sean King? Is that a male or a female? It's a snowboarder. He's a dude. At least that's what I've been told. But if you look up Sean King, there's also a female Sean King, several of them, whose faces will show up. Anyway, he types to me, "When I say break bread, I mean make some money. Together, not recite some religious poem." I like the way this guy thinks. I typed, and I hadn't read that part because I was busy typing my next funny. I typed, "Then I'll begin. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord shed his light upon thee." And no, I didn't type that right. Who cares? This guy, not orthodox, it don't matter. And that's when I read the part up there and I typed, "Oh, I thought you meant eat dinner. What you need?" He typed, "I can say the Apostles' Creed and that's it." And then he did some sort of a linky thingy to the one where I said, "Oh, I thought you meant eat dinner. What you need?" He types, "Be serious, Sean." Now, this right here is a dialect thing. See, that's something that a lot of people, they don't get the dialect thing. They hear a word that it means something different where they're from, and they're completely lost. Now making assumptions that are based off of a miscommunication that, shit, I'm not from Florida, I'm from here, and I'm from Washington, I'm from Colorado, I'm from everywhere but there. But he's typing, be serious, Sean, and I type, well, I suppose the gray Jedi pledge is close enough. Don't tell me to be serious. I am serious. If it is a serious matter, then I will treat it as a serious matter. But this is just funny. It's funny. If I say tick, and I'm talking about Tritt syndrome, a lot of times I stop and I explain it because a lot of times I've had people think that I've got ticks, like I'm infested with ticks. No, no, I'm not twitching because I have a tick sucking blood out of me and it hurts or something like that. It's a neurological thing. It's a connection between my brain and my central nervous system, and it's a doctor could explain it better than I could, but I can explain what it's like better than they could, what the experience is. A doctor can tell me all of the chemicals and all that stuff that it's doing and the scientific name for it, but he's going to have zero useful input on the bullying and the harassing and the way that you were treated like you're treated like you're a fucking serial killer from the time that you can speak almost. I mean, the older that you get, if you're the attractive kid in the family, you know, people in the family seem to love you more than the other people in the family because you're good looking. When Natalie died, people, they didn't want to look at evidence. What they wanted to do is say, she's so pretty, that poor thing. Oh my God, she is poor, beautiful, that poor dear. And they looked at me and they're like, he looks like a child molester. He looks like a rapist. He looks like a fucking hobo. People had already made their choice about who is innocent and who is guilty and already implemented their punishments. There's no day in court at all for any of this. It's just people abusing me, you know? But he types to me, I type, he types or attaches this to his previous comment where it says, when I say break bread, I mean make some money. And he types this. And I typed, I know, I get that. It's regional dialect differential. Where you are, break bread means make money. I live in the Bible Belt. Breaking bread means having dinner with company. That's because breaking bread, what did Jesus do at the Last Supper? I'm not entirely and completely ignorant of the Christian religion. I grew up Christian. Matter of fact, Christians are the reason that I'm not Christian. Christians are the reason that I won't claim to be Christian. You know, there might have been Nazis who were good people at the beginning, who believed the rhetoric, and maybe not all of it. Maybe there was parts of it they didn't like. There's people who voted for Donald Trump that didn't like a lot of his politics. They just liked the fact that he was not a politician. Rich people are all politicians. All rich people are politicians. This is how they get rich, is by manipulating you. That's how they get rich. How do public officials make it into office? They manipulate you. They manipulate you by slandering their opposition, by saying that their idea is best, by being very vague and making very vague promises that they know they'll never get to keep. And when you ask them for a plan, they don't give you the plan. They give you a general idea of something that there is no plan to. A generalized fix, a generalized meme. That's what they give us. And that's what America has become, is a whole bunch of fucking politicians. And then all these poor people who are like, hey, Apparently, this is the only thing that works, so I need to be more like that. I need to emulate that. No, don't emulate that. It only works for them because they have money. They only get away with rape and murder because they have money. They don't get away with rape and murder because they act like that. They get away with it because they can buy their way out. They get away with it because a police officer, if he makes one tiny fucking mistake in that case, that rich people and his fucking lawyers and his goddamn wallet will eat that dude away for life. If you make one mistake in a murder case with a rich person, you're going to spend the rest of your life on fucking traffic duty if you're still a fucking cop. You might end up in prison because they're going to use that one little piece to get off for murder, and then they're going to come after you for trying to frame them for murder. And they have the money to push that narrative. So he sent me one where I said, I typed, I know, I get that, it's regional dialect differential, and the thing he attached to that one was amen. He said, know what am a very boring person. All I do is make money and come back home. And one rule I learned is if you want to stay rich, empower your circle. It's simple maths. If you in to break bread with me, just let me know. Don't have nothing to lose. How about making ourselves useful now that we still breathing? I got a question. Do you guys think that me trying to raise awareness is useful? Do you think me trying to defend myself is useful? Do you think me speaking out for these other victims is useful? Do you think me as a person who's doing anything useful at all? This guy wants me to make money. That sounds great, but it also, I don't know this guy. I never met this guy. I'm down to earn money the right way. And I'm totally down with earning money the right way. If I have a safe place, then I can function. But it's not a safe place if my landlords can victimize me whenever they want. It's not a safe place when it's a government facility, like up there at the north end of town, and that person is immune from doing their job. That person is not going to do their job. If somebody is in a government position, you do need somebody to go in there with you, especially if you're male, especially if you're autistic, especially if you have Tourette syndrome. The people who get the top priority in all of these programs are always women with children. Always. For a man with children to get on those lists is damn near impossible. And for a man with no kids to get on those lists, he's got to be old and a veteran usually. But the thing is, all they have to do is prevent me from making reports and deny me the evidence that I need. That paperwork, I am legally entitled to that paperwork that I have been asking them for. But to this day, Cindy Taylor has continued to play fucking retarded. See, that's the thing, is that every step of the way I was trying to get help, and every step of the way, because I had to go in by myself, these people knew that they could get away with blowing me off, lying to me, and then just blow me off. And it's fine because nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody's going to say anything about it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. Even when I show that situation and record those very conversations and post them on YouTube so that you guys can do that. I've explained to you over and over again that I'm not allowed. I've showed you over and over again how the police treat me in those situations. I've recorded over and over and over again their excuses and how when I try to tell on them and the situation and issues that I have with them, they get to cut me off and make an excuse right there on the spot. Same excuse that I told you they would, same excuse that they all use. All law enforcement does this. All law enforcement is taught how to lie. That is the very first thing they learn. How to lie. And why is that? Because the most important part of their job is not getting their city sued. What's more important than catching a rapist? Making sure Boulder doesn't get sued. What's more important than catching a murderer? Making sure Boulder doesn't get sued. What's more important than being a racist asshole? Making sure Boulder doesn't get sued. Boulder cops are specifically taught not to target black people. They're taught to target homeless people. Because homeless people aren't going to have the money for a real fucking lawyer. So they get kangaroo court. A homeless person cannot defend themselves. And there are exceptions to the rule. There are. They are taught specifically not to target black people. Try to avoid black college students if you can. But if it is a black homeless person, it is okay. If they are homeless, it is okay. They confuse Zaid Atkinson for a homeless person. They confuse Sammy Leon Lawrence IV for a homeless person. When they assaulted me, I had just been made a homeless person. And when Michelle Rodriguez was assaulted, she was a homeless person. She got help when she got into a housing place, when she got a safe environment, a roof over her head. And these other people already had roofs over their head. Zaid Atkinson already had a roof over his head. And he got paid $125,000. I believe someone said it was $160,000. I don't know. It's over $100,000. And he's traumatized for life for something that happened to him once. But I have to endure this shit daily. See, that's the difference between him and I. He was made out to be a victim because he was black. And I was made out to be a predator because of crimes I didn't commit and have to this day never been allowed to defend myself against. If I have to pay the fucking consequences, and I am to this day paying the fucking consequences for crimes that I did not fucking commit, and to this day, people are allowed to harm me and threaten me, and I have to go to my predators for help. Well, most of your opinions are pretty much shit because you weren't there for it and I was. You turn off your body cameras, it's your word versus mine. If I can record it, then I've got a leg to stand on. But I only have that leg to stand on if somebody else. That's the thing that literally every single one of these people didn't want to understand. I've been called mentally ill. You need to get off your ass now. It's illegal to victimize me like this, but it's only illegal if you do something. I'm not allowed. The term mentally ill means I'm not allowed. And then when I tell on these people, to these places that I'm supposed to call, and these places that I'm supposed to call, they say, well, that's illegal. I know it's illegal. That's why I'm calling you. I'm calling you to tell you that they did something illegal. But they didn't say, oh, that's illegal, as in somebody broke the law. You're calling somebody who you're supposed to call when they break the law. You're reporting to me what it is that you're literally using this line for what it's supposed to be. It's not as in this person is surprised that somebody is calling them about somebody else breaking the law. It's because I'm telling them about a cop. They're not saying it as in being surprised. Their tone of voice and the things that they continue to say after that as well show that I was right about the tone of their voice. How do they say it? They say it as in a cop would never do that, right? And of course, that shit's all recorded here. But I can't do anything about it. I can barely function. They're telling me to do things that I am not capable of doing. I don't have the ability to do so because of the victimization that I have endured my entire life. That victimization has resulted in me being homeless repeatedly, me paying for hundreds of parties for people with my rent money. Did I give that rent money to them for partying? No, I gave it to them for fucking rent. When I lived with Phil McPhee, month after month after month, the bills are in my name. I'm paying the fucking bills. They're all in my name. I'm paying rent to Phil, and Phil is supposed to pay rent to Big J, who owns the house. Big J says, you know what? The whole time Phil lived there, he never paid me a penny. So what was I paying Phil hundreds of dollars a month for? For him to spend that money to try to impress little girls to have sex with. You don't like that little girls thing, do you? Yeah, I don't either. Because see, here's the thing: is that he was having sex with legal women. They were of legal age. Most of them at least 18, if not 21. But he's spending this money to get them drunk, try to impress them. This is my money that I fucking earned and I busted my ass for. The bills are in my name and they don't pay. I literally stayed homeless in Janet Roberts' garage in the middle of a very hot fucking summer. That's where I lived for 2 months so that I could pay off the bills that they didn't fucking pay. Meanwhile, Phil McPhee, I told him before he went to Lake McConaughey for his party, I said, hey, dude, you need to pay me the money that you owe me for these bills before you leave, or I am moving out and having the power turned off. He said, you better not. And then he proceeded to leave and go to Lake McConaughey, and well, he got to party. But I didn't have the money with what Janet Roberts was paying me to pay the amount of money that needed to be paid for those bills. I paid what I could. I turned it off. And Phil McPhee runs around town trying to find me so that he can fucking assault me. But you know what? Gary Jepson tells him, Phil, you screwed up. You need to leave him alone. Thank you, Gary. Thank you very much. Phil screwed up, and then he wanted to threaten to harm me because I wouldn't pay his free fucking shit. He was getting a free fucking ride while I was busting my ass. He gets a room to himself, and I get a fucking couch. I'm paying hundreds of dollars a month for rent, and Phil is literally paying nothing. Now, how many of those situations do you expect me to go through? Situations where I can't do anything about it, except eat it. I don't have any help to get myself my own place. I'm not earning enough with Janet Roberts to get my own place. That's the thing about being different. Janet Roberts felt that it was okay to pay me less than everybody else because I was lower on the social ladder. Why? Autistic mannerisms. I'm a dork. You know? Chris Stegman, he got paid almost twice what I did per month for cleaning Cabela's every fucking night. Did he clean Cabela's every night? No. He showed up one day a month to do paperwork. Why is that? Because Janet Roberts had a big ass crush on Chris, and she was living vicariously through her granddaughter, Jamie Lee Curtis. I got so much stuff in here. I got stuff I don't even know what it is. This, I know what it is. I don't know what this thing is. A lot of times I pick up parts and pieces, stuff that's just sitting on the side of the road. I pick up stuff like this because it looks cool. And I pick up stuff like this because it'll go into a tire. And I don't have a running vehicle right now, so I suppose it really doesn't matter if I pick them up or not. Yes, it fucking does. You know, the guy who would have ran over this, he may not know what a good thing happened for him. He'll never think to himself, you know, I'm sure glad that guy picked that thing up off the side of the road. But I'll tell you what he's not thinking. He's not thinking, hey, man, I got 30 minutes to get to my appointment, and I got to get that goddamn tire off and change it and get to my fucking appointment. A lot of the good stuff that you do out of the kindness of your heart, you're not doing out of the kindness of your heart. You only do it if people are looking. Good people think differently. Good people see that dead deer in the middle of the road, and instead of driving around it, they stop and they drag it off the road. The next person to see that deer, there might be traffic in the other lane. They might not be able to swerve around that fucking deer. So a good person is going to get out and move that fucking deer off the road. It's dead. Yeah. Sure, the person who isn't going to fucking die isn't going to be grateful. They're not going to be grateful because they don't realize that they're still alive only because you did a good thing. You just got to be glad that nobody ended up fucking dead. Now, maybe this thing in somebody's tire isn't going to fucking kill somebody. I mean, most of the stuff that I pick up here in town it's in town. If you drive over it at the fastest, you're going 35 miles an hour. Most of the town, you're driving 15. On Main Street, you're going 25 for part of it, 30 at part of it, or sorry, 35 at part of it, and 40 at part of it. I think that after it gets past 40 miles per hour, you're already beyond city limits. So, I mean, it's not like somebody driving over something like this is going to, it's not like if they ran over it on the interstate and it popped their tire instantly and flipped them and fucking. We don't need to think that thought any further than that. It's just not pretty. There's no reason to continue. Good people don't do good things because they want attention. They do good things because it's the right thing to do. Now, a lot of y'all might say, well, Sean, you keep on telling us about your exploits. That's right. It's because I do need attention. I can't win this fight by myself. I don't need attention for attention's sake. I need positive attention, positive interaction. This dude here wants to break bread, but yeah, I'm always leery of those. I've had a lot of people that, since Natalie died, have said, well, let's do this, and let's do that. And then they don't teach me how to do it. They have me spend my money and spend my time to try to do what they want, but they're not showing me how to do it. And when it doesn't turn out the way they wanted it to, I'm out that time. I'm out that money. And they just pretend that I didn't spend the time or money because they weren't there to see it. I explain to them that my disabilities are not a decision, and then they tell me it's an excuse. Holy hell, right? I say that a lot, don't I? Holy hell. All right. Jillian Murray typed, I've listened to you talk for some time. I think you're an incredibly strong, brave, genuine man. And you talk with such conviction. Absolute respect for you. Thank you. Jamila Perez Jose. Oh, Jamia Perez. I can't pronounce the last one. I'm assuming, based on the Perez, that your first name is probably of Hispanic origin and that the two L's should be pronounced differently. But that's just an assumption. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Is it Jamila or Jamia? Not that it matters. I mean, it does matter. It's your name. You know, I don't like it when people call me Scene or Shane. That's not my name. Um, it doesn't bother me incredibly when people mispronounce it, you know, just because they may have only met me a couple of times or talked to me a couple of times, or maybe I just only told them my name once and they did really good by getting it close. Um, but she wrote, I'll just say Miss Perez so that I don't butcher it too badly. Miss Perez typed, um, I think it's very useful. You provide hope in this world that people are still willing to spread awareness and help others. Jillian Murray typed, Miss Perez, yes, I agree. Jillian typed, fight for your rights with your last breath. Never give up. You are owed so much, yet have received so little. Your suffering gives others strength, though, so please know that. It teaches us. Miss Perez typed, it's Jamila, but you can pronounce it however, it doesn't bother me. Cool. Thank you, Shane Perez. Sorry, I had to try to make light of the situation. You said I can pronounce it however, so I figured I'd mispronounce my name. You know, even when I'm in excruciating pain, seeing my loved ones takes away from that. Getting to laugh with them, and you know, that's not easy to do when it's a situation where I'm under an extreme amount of stress and they're under an extreme amount of stress. We're all afraid, you know, we're all scrambling to try to keep our heads above water. And that's the thing, is that all these people, you know, they expected me to understand, and I did. All I did was hope for them to understand, and they couldn't. When I thought they did, when they told me the words I wanted to hear, so to speak. But then they showed me different. When somebody is being abused, you have a limited amount of time to turn that in. And for me, with the amount of predatory bullshit that I have to deal with every day, things that when I did them back to these people, they use that to try to justify years of doing it prior. If I do it back to you, I'm evil. But you can do it to me hundreds of times. You and your friends can gang up on me. Through all of this, when people did screwed up stuff, they had the popularity or the power position. Now, what's the power position? That's what Shannon Alvarado had. That's what Jamie Curtis had. Or when she was living with James, it's what James had. The power position. If you're a homeowner, you got the power position. Sure, Amber Russell and Brett Roloff were both completely fucking twacked out of their goddamn gourds there in Bristol, Virginia. But it's their name on the lease. And although Brett said that he was going to help me, and he didn't because he was fucked up on meth, it's still his name on the release. It's still his name on the rental agreement. Well, Shannon Alvarado, sure, she was an alcoholic who was up screaming fucking damn near every night. Now, most nights Rick did not drink with her. On the occasion that he did, they had sex. On the occasions that they didn't, it was usually Rick getting screamed at all night. Rick's mad because that's not everybody's business. Well, here's the thing, Rick, is that was a very scary situation for me that keeps me from functioning. How well are you able to focus and do your job when people are screaming until 4 o'clock in the morning? How well are you able to sleep when people are screaming until 4 o'clock in the morning? You think the judges ever stop to consider that? Like, if I try to defend myself against those accusations, I get shut off, cut off, and treated like shit. Those officers, the reason that this needs to be done with these officers in a court of law is because when I am talking to, say, my caseworker, Kara Smith, from the Department of Health and Human Services, when I'm talking to her and I'm trying to fucking turn in those officers and turn in the abuse that I've gone through, first of all, I shouldn't have to go to the very same officers I'm trying to turn in. God, I want a real fucking cigarette. Y'all remember the movie Ghost? You remember that dead dude in Ghost who just wanted a fucking cigarette? The thing is that these these people in government position have specific protections. Now, those protections, in many cases, only exist for people like me who go in alone. The moment someone goes in with you who can verify that they didn't do their job, they want to do their job now. Now they want to do their job. When I was 18 years of age, going in and talking to those people because nobody would help me unless I went to these services. And then I get treated like shit by a bunch of other people because I went to try to get help from these services. People want to talk about how they did it all themselves. People who got cush jobs because somebody liked their daddy. Or they got a cush job because this dude wants to fuck their mom. Or you got a cush job because you grew up on the farm. Sure, you worked the farm. So did 3 to 8 farm hands. You're going to inherit the fucking farm. These farm hands are never going to get what you get out of that land. They're never going to get paid as much as you do. They're never going to have the perks that you get. They're not going to get away with the things that you do, and they're going to have to work harder than you do. That's a class system. That's what we live in. There is no equality in a class system. If what Donald Trump has to say matters and everybody in the world fucking gives a shit, but what I say, fuck, might as well be putting a bullet to my own head, right? That's how I've been treated through most of this. See, the thing is that right now, one thing that we don't have, which has been a near constant since Natalie disappeared, we've had a few days of not too many hecklers, mostly decent people, mostly people who aren't just looking for an excuse to be an asshole or making excuses for my predators. A lot of people tried to play stuff off right after Natalie died. A lot of these people who are assholes to me, people who weren't involved in the situation, didn't know what the fuck was going on. They just heard about it from the news and thought, hey, it's okay for me to fucking victimize this guy. To this day, the police haven't done a goddamn thing about it. They knew this was happening, and yet they did nothing. Is it true that they did nothing? No, it's not true that they did nothing. Before Natalie died, they blew me off. And after Natalie died, they abused me in order to get something that they could twist, warp, and manipulate to justify the fact that they fucked up. Oh, well, he's mentally ill. Well, he's mentally ill. And you guys have seen that time and again through fucking 4 years of hell. You call somebody mentally ill, nobody takes a look. The cops fuck up big, what do? They take you to the hospital and say, hey, this guy's mentally ill, we want you to fix it. The police, what they were doing was hiding their crimes by whatever means necessary. Turn off your body camera, lie to the guy. Officer Burke and the Bollinger family and their fucking cronies, who I literally broke the law to try to get a court date with. They got to slander my name and use the outcome of court dates that I was not allowed to go to and could not possibly have gone to and could not possibly have rescheduled. And through all of this is what my predators waited on. They made sure that they drug out everything as long as they fucking could, making sure that all of my money was being chewed up for being falsely accused. And their excuse for doing it was my reaction to long-term abuse. Long-term abuse. A whole year of being separated from my loved ones, being threatened, being harassed, being assaulted, having my name slandered, having to move. All before Natalie was fucking killed. And like dominoes, every time that I tried to get help, I had to go to somebody who was fucked up on drugs or alcohol, or somebody who was hundreds of miles away. They're not doing me any fucking good. They're telling me I can't do anything. I'm hundreds of miles away. They're not going to let me make a police report. I'm hundreds of miles away. Meanwhile, the people that I had been trying to file reports on, like the Bollingers and Kara Johnson Miles, got to have their slander put in my fucking court dates to prevent me from speaking from hundreds of miles away. Kara Johnson Miles did that from Texas. See, that's the thing, is that she's out of jurisdiction, so I can't pursue her, but she can slander me all the way from fucking Texas. You guys want to talk about how terrible and horrible and rotten and dangerous these people are who pretend that they're police officers. This woman pretended to be a professional in the mental health field, specifically with autistic people. That's Kara Johnson Miles, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Natalie Marie Bollinger's own words on her last public post show that me and her never dated and we never had sex. People's excuses for victimizing me is that I must have raped her or molested her because of rumors. Natalie's own words show that that's not true. Natalie's own words show that we never dated. But Kara Johnson Miles, her slander was allowed in my court. I wasn't even allowed to see the slander that she was saying. My public pretenders literally wouldn't do shit. Didn't even show up. I had over 40 court dates in between when Natalie was killed and when I had to flee the state of Colorado. Over 40. I went to every single one except the ones that I was prevented from going to because I was incarcerated. I was incarcerated because I literally had to break the law to try to get them to do their goddamn jobs because not one of my so-called friends could understand that when you are called mentally ill, no one will listen. And why didn't they understand that? Because they themselves were not fucking listening. Did these situations happen? Or did my so-called friends fucking lie to me outright repeatedly? If I'm being victimized over it, then it needs to come out in fucking court. After years of being victimized in every way imaginable, while people tell me that I must have wanted it, needed it, chose it, or deserved it, or I must be wrong because I'm mentally ill. No, when I get punched in the face, I know what getting punched in the face feels like. When I get stolen from, I know what getting stolen from feels like. When I'm on the phone with the bank and the bank says they got rid of my fucking account, that's not a goddamn hallucination. But that's why the police and the Bollingers prey heavily, as well as the courts. You have to prey heavily on the term mentally ill. Why is that? Because mentally ill to most Americans is synonymous with schizophrenia and mass murders. That's what you see, that is what you hear when the words mentally ill come out. The thing I'm most disgusted by is mentally disabled persons using that term. Well, I'm mentally ill too. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Slow your fucking roll, motherfucker. That's like one black person say to another black person, I'm the N-word too. Hold on a second. That word is derogatory, it's rude, it's inconsiderate. No, you are not the N-word. You're a human being. Mentally ill is always an insult. It is always a derogatory term. It is always the N-word, no matter who uses it. It is always used to harm the innocent. There is no other way to use that word. That word gives the wrong impression and the wrong connotation. These police know this. They use this. This is their tool for getting away with breaking the law. This is their tool for victimizing the victims. You're not allowed to do your job and go after the actual criminals because they might have the money to sue you. So now you find yourself out there victimizing the fucking homeless, for Christ's fucking sake. How proud of you are you right now? You think your mommy's fucking proud of you? She probably is. She probably thinks you're a crime fighter. No, you're a victimizer. Your job is to go find the easiest goddamn scapegoat. You fucking know it. And you don't want your mom to know that? I get that. That's a matter of pride. How about instead of hiding from your mom the fact that you're a piece of shit, you just stop being a piece of shit? Then you can be honest with your fucking mom. I mean, sure, you can try to hide it until she dies. You can try to hide it until she has a heart attack or has a car accident or whatever, and you go, you know, I'm so glad my mom didn't have to die with that. Of course, your mom might also live to be 103, and you might get fucking busted next year. You know what you're doing is illegal, you know it's immoral, and you know that eventually there's the possibility of getting busted. And yeah, sure, your fellow officers are probably going to cover for you. They will probably call that person mentally ill and take them to a nuthatch. You guys will probably all deny that person the right to know your name or badge number. You will probably break so many of that person's human fucking rights that you'll be looking at prison time. And you think you'll get away with it. You do, but once you think that you can pick out a homeless person from 100 yards, you have no idea how many of these police have said this. I can pick out a homeless person in a crowd at 100 yards. Yeah, well, you know what? You get it in your head that a certain type of people are a certain way and that nobody else is like that. Then you encounter a situation like Zaid Atkinson where you thought you were going to get away with victimizing this fucking hobo. You're like, yeah, you know, we're not supposed to fuck with black people, but it's a black hobo, so it's the exception, so it's okay. And by the time they realized how fucking wrong they were, it was too late to pull out. Here's the thing about the police in that. It's a case of mistaken identity. If you're in a rape situation and your rapist thinks that he's raping the person that he wants to, and then he gets a good look at your face and he pauses for a moment, he's not pausing for a moment because he just realized that he's raping somebody. He knew he was raping somebody when he yanked down your trousers or yanked up your fucking skirt and stuck his penis in you. He knew what he was doing was wrong when he started. He paused because he realized he fucked up. He paused because he realized that you're not somebody that he probably should have been raping. Like, yeah, the person that I thought I was raping, I could get away with. But this person I can't get away with raping. Well, I'm already mid-rape and it feels good, so I'm going to finish. And that's exactly what those officers did in the Zaid Atkinson situation. They were mid-rape. They might as well get the goodies and finish the job. Now, I almost thought that Zaid Atkinson was a decent person. His very first public comments on the situation, I was like, this dude's a good guy. He knows exactly what the fuck is up. But BLM is what people cared about. The color of his skin is all that anyone cared about. And he was not targeted for the color of his skin. He was targeted because he looked and dressed like a fucking homeless person. He looked and dressed, and the way that his hair was, and his beads, and his whole garb, and his whole. Yeah, that's very hobo-esque. Now, there's home bums. He kind of looks like a home bum, but he really looks more like a traveler. Yes, there are different classes of homeless people, too. Imagine that. All right. Jamila typed, yes, I agree. Jillian Murray typed, fight for your rights with your last breath. Never give up. You were owed so much. Lots of people keep telling me that nobody owes you nothing. Oh, hey, by the way, you owe me because you're white. It's weird. I have fought for minorities my entire life, and I'm not going to quit. I fight for the underdog because I am the underdog. Either we work together or we get nothing. If the predators work together and we all cower in the corner, we all deserve what we get for cowering in the corner. If the predators gang up on us and rather than doing something, we reach for the bottle, it's our own fault for drowning our sorrows instead of fighting back. By fighting back, I'm not talking about seeking to harm others. I'm talking about Jesus fucking Christ. At what point are you allowed to defend yourself? At what point do you stop laying there and fucking taking it and fucking crying in your wine? Most of the women that I know who I helped get out of abusive situations went back. Most of them got lonely within just a couple of weeks, got lonely, realized that their financial situation was dire, and went back. It's hard to get away from your abusers, ain't it? And a lot of these women, they could have found somebody better. They could have, if they could have held out for just a little bit longer. But they'd gotten so used to having somebody, that being by themselves, although empowering for the first week, by the end of the week, they're so afraid and so alone and so desperate to feel loved again. They've only been missing it for a week, and they go back for what's called the honeymoon period. Yes, after your boyfriend beats the living shit out of you, then he's gonna do the whole I'm in love with you, I'm in love with you, you know, I only did it because I love you, blah, 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 whatever it takes to get you back. And then he is so nice for about 2 to 3 weeks. That's the honeymoon period. A lot of times, the first thing these predators have going through their mind with their honeymoon period isn't trying to get you back. It's just trying to convince you not to call the fucking cops on them. That's all they want. Shit, with me, I was encouraging my predators to call the cops on me because the cops wouldn't fucking listen to me. Jamila Perez typed, like you said before, cops have been taught to lie and cheat since day one. They learn to save their ass through any means possible, and it's disgusting. Cops are not and most likely will never be taught how to treat neurodivergent individuals and just use them as scapegoats. You're absolutely right. I'm going to end this video. I had originally intended on getting on here and talking about something entirely different, but Well, you guys see how my rambles are. Everything is interconnected. And those of you who listen to my stuff and go, dude, you're completely insane. Well, that's just because you can't quite grasp the concept. And it's also because I have difficulties with communication when I'm stressed. So, although it is your fault, it is also mine. And that doesn't mean that it is either of our choices. Just because something bad happened doesn't mean that you wanted something bad to happen. I wanted people to stop hurting me, or I wanted them to shoot me in the head. I didn't want Natalie to get shot in the head. She's more of a human than me. She's female. She's pretty. She's young. But she got a lot of potential. Now she doesn't have any. She has zero fucking potential. But her story has the potential to save a lot of lives. But in order for it to save lives, you need to fucking squash away the narrative and look at the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That doesn't work when you're ignoring one entire side. When you're doing everything in your power to prevent that person from having the resources they need to get help, telling them that they're not trying because they don't have the resources to do these things. And despite all of that, I've tried to jump through all of their hoops without those resources. But then again, so did Ogre. He still didn't get his daughter back. So did Will. You know, Will was a guy that I knew in Colorado who his daughter graduated from high school a couple of years ago. He wasn't allowed to have contact with her until she turned 18. He was a registered sex offender because his girlfriend's mom did not like him. She was 17, he was 19. That's one of those cases where, yeah, legitimately, that's how it happened. Her parents sent her on vacation and then pulled all of this bullshit. He admitted to having sex with his girlfriend. He kind of fucking had to. She was pregnant. But the cops never talked to his girlfriend. Then they, because he was in prison for raping his girlfriend, and she had found out about it by that point in time. But the cops are telling her, hey, you know, you aren't to have any contact with Will. If you contact him, we're going to take your kids away. So she got into some trouble for talking to Will. She got her daughter taken away. Her daughter was given to her parents, and she eventually actually had to move in with her parents. She was able to get custody of her daughter. But from that point on, it was basically you aren't allowed to say anything good about Will. Meanwhile, Will has been living homeless with a full-time job for 18 years by this point. Well, 14 years. I think he served like 6 years in prison. He had to serve a little bit extra time in prison, I guess, because his ex-girlfriend called up to talk to him a couple of times, and it was against the court order. That's what happens when you don't get to be there. The cops don't care whether or not you got to defend yourself in court. Their excuse is that they're doing their fucking job. You're trying to turn in a bad judge? Who the fuck do you turn it into? Please speak out. I've had to do a lot of terrible shit that I never wanted to fucking do. But I did it because I wasn't allowed to do the things that my predators were. They were allowed to go to the police. They were allowed to ask their friends for help. I wasn't. I tried. Look at how I was fucking treated. And look at how now, having to go back and talk to Scott DaCosta, one of the fucking predators that I am still trying to get a goddamn day in court with, that I am still trying to get an investigation on. But they're not going to investigate crimes against me as long as they have the term mentally ill to hide behind. They tried to have me framed as being what? What's the word we're looking for? Schizophrenic. Meanwhile, we've got over a dozen people whose voices you can hear on this very fucking channel who have known me between 5 and 25 years or more, saying I've never exhibited any signs of schizophrenia. These people have family members and friends who are schizophrenic. These people know what schizophrenic the fuck is. These aren't asshole doctors who see you for 5 goddamn minutes and give you the diagnosis that your fucking predators who dragged you in asked for. If you want to try to diagnose me as schizophrenic for saying that people assaulted me, I'm not saying that aliens assaulted me. I'm not saying Swamp Thing assaulted me. I'm not saying Doomsday jumped out of a goddamn comic book and assaulted me. I'm saying a living, breathing human being assaulted me. And nobody will fucking investigate it. That lady up there at the fucking jail in Scottsbluff, in order to justify their fucking sins and to try to cover up the crimes that were committed in that jail, she did the exact same thing that these officers in Chapel did, that those officers in Colorado did. She outright lied to me, wrote whatever the fuck she wanted on the paperwork to cover for her buddies, and it turns out there's a good fucking reason for it. When I was in Scottsbluff in 2018, the guy who fucking assaulted me, I found out his name. His name is Ruben. It took me 2 years to find that out. I had to go back to Scottsbluff to find that out. Had to go back to the Scottsbluff hospital. I went to the hospital, or went to the jail there, off of the warrant from the hospital. The police used the hospital. The police here in Chapel used the hospital in Scottsbluff in order to try to have me pegged as mentally ill, as schizophrenic, as bipolar, as whatever it would be that would make it okay. And what they specifically asked for was bipolar. And it's a funny thing that when I asked Sheriff Scott DaCosta, why didn't you watch that whole video? He said, it's because your friend said you were bipolar. No, my friend, that was Graham. Did he say in that video that I was bipolar? Did he? That's right, he didn't. He said I was autistic and had Tourette's syndrome. And you see how that officer treated me then and now. He says that me and him can start over. Me and him needed to start over. Well, I tried starting over with him. He didn't start over. He's still making excuses. He's still covering for his other officers. He is still committing felonies. If I have to commit felonies to defend myself and my loved ones, I fucking will. How many of you wouldn't? Every single felony that I have committed, and I've committed a lot of felonies that I have not even been charged for. It's fucking stupid. But every felony that I committed was to save lives. Every crime that I committed was to save lives. And I only committed those crimes when what the law is supposed to do, they didn't do. They don't have to do their jobs when all they have to say is, well, he's mentally ill. They don't have to do their jobs, when they don't fear any punishment, when they can abuse their positions and have you sent to Scotts Bluff at will. Here's the thing, what you guys don't want to understand is that I want to die because I have no rights. According to the United States government, I am not a human being. Either I need help to show the truth, or I need you to kill me, because living with that mentally ill tag over my fucking head gives everyone the legal right to commit crimes against me. If you don't change the laws now, I want you to look at your daughter. All right? I know nobody gives a fuck about boys. So I want you to look at your daughter. I want you to imagine that your daughter, who might be bipolar, she might be schizophrenic, and she might not. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is that you love your daughter, you want to protect her, but if you're fucking dead, you can't. If you get into a car accident, if you have a fucking heart attack, if you choke to death on a fucking turkey bone, your daughter's on her own. Now, if she does have one of those disabilities, if she is schizophrenic or bipolar, then anyone can victimize her and get away with it, as the laws are now. If the police choose not to do their job, they can get away with it, as the laws are now. All they have to do is what they did in my case: turn off their body cameras, make it their word against hers. If a police officer decides that he's going to rape your daughter after you're dead, she's called mentally ill. She just has to take it. He might be a dumbass and do what that asshole in Broomfield did, which is rape her on the hood of his vehicle when he's taking her home from the hospital. What are the chances that that officer who was driving that woman home from the hospital, what are the chances that she was at that hospital on a suicide watch? What are the chances of that?